So for the test exam analysis essay, what you're going to be doing is basically writing an essay about your test performance. Not only just the test performance, but how did you prepare for the test. It's really a type of reflective writing, but an analysis of what you did right, what worked for you, but also to identify any areas that maybe need improving or changing in how you approach testing or taking the test. So for this essay, the instructions, as you know, are on Moodle. And basically, one key element in college is the ability to analyze your test performance to understand why you score the way you do. A lot of students are like, well, I did well, but they don't know why they did well. They think they got lucky, or they don't know well and they didn't do well and they're not sure why. So this particular essay is to help you analyze your test performance on your most recent test. So this essay is going to be set up in 5 sections: introduction, section 1, 2, 3, and then a conclusion. It's a 5-paragraph analysis essay, and it's on the test that you just completed. So the first step before you do anything is to go to the grid worksheet and this objective exam analysis worksheet, and you want to complete this. How you complete this is you download this document, you type in what the course is, the section number of your course, the date that you did the test, and then what was the grade you got on it. These items down here, you are listing only the problems you got wrong. So for example, if the first one you got wrong was number 3, you would list number 3 here. And then after you've listed the ones you got wrong on the exam, you check whatever 2 reasons you think are most likely to cause why you got that wrong. So you need to go through all of these sections, and out of all of these choices, you may only choose 2. So each of these represent different things. So I'm going to go through these: the lack of knowledge section, English skills section, exam panic section, exam skills section, and then of course other. In the first one, it's reading textbook. What that means is the information was not in your reading or in your textbook to study from. The second one is inadequate notes. What that means is, although you may have studied, you didn't have that information in your notes, so therefore you couldn't study that information. It was in the textbook, or it was in a PowerPoint, or it was in lecture, but you just did not include it in your notes to study. The third one is application of knowledge. This is any story type problems. If it gives you a scenario, they're not looking for concrete information. They're looking to see if you can apply the information from the textbook to a new situation. The next one is poor retention. You simply could not remember the information. And then of course there's other. And you'll notice there's other for every category. If you choose other, you need to write in what the reason is. English skills, it could be reading comprehension. You didn't understand what you were reading or didn't understand the textbook. Maybe reading speed, maybe you read things too fast or too slow. Maybe the vocabulary was difficult. You didn't understand what the words were. Like there was some key terminology you didn't understand. Decreased concentration. Maybe you had other things going on during the test that were distracting you, so you couldn't concentrate. Maybe you got a mental block. You remember studying, but you couldn't bring it back. Focus on exam techniques. In other words, you forgot to do maybe deep breathing, you forgot to double check your answers, all those exam techniques that we learned about in the beginning of the semester. Maybe you did not focus on what the question asked. Maybe now as you go back through the test and you realize, oh, it was asking something else. Or maybe you failed to consider options carefully. Maybe it was multiple choice, and now that you're looking back, you realize there's a better answer. Maybe there's a poor use of time. This means you either run out of time and did not finish the test, or maybe you did the test too fast. And then, of course, maybe you changed your answer. As you go back and look back now, you're like, oh, I thought it was A or C. You chose A, and it's really C. The last one is careless or clerical error, and that simply means you clicked the wrong one, and you meant to click A, and instead you clicked on B. So to do this essay, the first thing you're going to do is complete your introduction. And in the introduction, you are writing about the purpose for analyzing your test. You're going to give test information, things like content, what was it on, chapter 1, 2, 3, the location, the day, and the time that you took the test. Be sure to include a thesis statement. The thesis statement should include the elements you're analyzing, such as the pre-reading process, review process, and test-taking behaviors. So an example of this is I analyze my tests to identify if I am successful in any of my pre-reading process. I noticed that my review process was not as well as it should be, and I need to improve my test-taking behaviors. So whatever you find out, that's what you're going to write about. And that is going to be included in your thesis statement. So the first section, you talk about the previewing. How did you, what process did you use to read the textbook, to read the information? Demonstrate your understanding of interactive reading. Tell me what strategies you did to understand the concepts while you were reading them. And then the second one is the study process. What process did you use to review the information? Remember, when you are reading section 1, previewing section 1, you are not studying. That is not studying. Reading is not studying. After you've read the chapter, then what did you do to process that information? Did you spend too much time on details? What did you do? Did you write flashcards? Did you write out notes? Did you review with someone? What items did you do? And address all of these in section 2. Then section 3 is on the test taking process itself. So this is during the test only. During the test, what strategies or behaviors were used? What did you do? Did you do the deep breathing? Did you double check your answer? Did you read through the questions before you started the answers? What parts did you feel you did right or were successful in? And which areas did you struggle with? And then your conclusion. This is where you're telling me, what did you learn about yourself from this test? I want you to address the things like, how effective was your reading process, in your review process, or your test-taking skills? Tell me your grade. Did you see any patterns? You'll know patterns based on that grid sheet I showed you just a moment ago. If you notice, wow, there's a lot of them that have inadequate notes, you know, wow, I need to do a better job with my note-taking. You also have to address, what are you going to do differently next time? Do not be generic with this. Pick 1 or 2 things and be very specific. What are you going to change to improve your testing score? And everybody can improve a testing score unless you got 100%. If you got 100%, you do not need to address this in the essay. The writing requirements are here, and you must structure your essay according to the guidelines here. All that means is I do want a heading, introduction, and then you write a paragraph. Another heading, previewing information process, and you write your paragraph. Be specific in each section. Make sure you limit it to what I'm talking about in each one. And of course, if you're able to use proper capitalization, punctuation, make sure you do that. Use spell check. Make sure you use Times New Roman style font. We want MLA document format design. If you don't know what that is, I did put some resources for you. Basically, all that means is Times New Roman style font, double spacing, 1-inch margins, and then set up your page with your header and then the first 4 lines. You are allowed to use first person. This is a narrative, so you're fine with that. And the length of the essay will probably end up being approximately 2 pages. You do not need any citations or sources for this essay. You can just simply write it from your own base knowledge. Just a quick reminder, I do want to see a thesis statement in your introduction. And your thesis is really going to tie in with your conclusion. What did you learn? So you're going to start with your thesis telling me that you're analyzing why you're analyzing the test and to identify what elements. So for example, if you did really good with the pre-reading but rough with a review process, make sure you indicate that in your thesis statement. The thesis statement needs to be 1 to 2 sentences only. You do not need a longer one than that. Make sure it's included in the introduction.